Hello, welcome back to my channel. This video is not aimed at these influencers and their sources of income. It's for everyday people who watch this content online and need a reality check. Because the trad wife influencers and similar creators such as these stay-at-home mom and stay-at-home girlfriend influencers are not exactly living the life that they portray online.
I want a job. I don't want to be a corporate girly. I don't want to climb the ladder. I don't want to be a boss babe. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to be the breadwinner. I do not want to do that. You know what I want to do? I want to be home. I want to be cooking in the kitchen. I want to be cleaning. I want to be shopping. I want to be making brownies. I want to be cooking dinner, making homemade meals every night, almost every night. I want to do all the things.
And as a disclaimer, if I use videos of someone like narasmith, it's not because I think that they are a trad wife, it's more to show off the content and aesthetic of trad wives and what this video is about. So if you're interested in a topic like this, let's get right into it. A trad wife refers to a married woman who embraces traditional gender roles such as cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children, and supporting her husband in his role as the primary breadwinner. In this dynamic, the husband goes out of the home to work and earn money, and the wife stays at home to be a homemaker and the primary caregiver to their children. Oftentimes, it idealizes the 1950s housewife aesthetic and often has religious undertones. Similar style influencers, or what I like to call trad wife adjacent influencers, are stay-at-home moms and stay-at-home girlfriends. Although they both stay at home and largely cater to the needs of the children and their romantic partners, they may not follow strict gender roles or have a religious doctrine that they adhere to. Stay-at-home moms may stay home temporarily to raise the children due to the high cost of childcare, or permanently stay at home as a preference if their partner can afford the high cost of living for the entire family. On the other hand, stay-at-home girlfriends primarily focus on home care and personal beauty management while their partners are away at work. I included the stay-at-home mom and stay-at-home girlfriend because they are in the same niche as the trad wife due to how similar homemaker content is. This style of content is popular, as you'll find in the comments of these videos, people young and old, especially girls and women, wishing that they too could live this life of leisure. Of course, it does get its fair share of hate, but there is still a strong and large community of women who want this lifestyle. And I can understand why. Women now make up half of the workforce, but still come home and do majority of the housework and domestic labor. There are just not enough hours in the day to do all the work that women are tasked with, and it's emotionally and physically draining. Not to mention, a lot of men don't want to do their fair share or half of the domestic labor and childcare, despite women contributing equally to the household finances. And these relationship dynamics are no longer as appealing anymore to women and young girls. So new questions are being asked. Why labor at work and then at home? Why not just stay at home and labor only at home for your family? So now let's talk about the oxymoron part of the title of this video. Why are trad wife influencers and trad adjacent influencers an oxymoron? The term oxymoron is when two contradictory words or ideas are used together. Think clean dirty or rich poor. Being a trad wife who is also an influencer is an oxymoron because it is a concept that contradicts itself. What I mean by this is, you can't be a business owner / serial entrepreneur, earning hundreds if not thousands of dollars, but at the same time creating content that suggests that all that you do is stay at home and take care of the household duties. An influencer's job is to convince you of something or to sell you something. They don't need to outright call for an action for people to be naturally influenced. A recent example I saw is how an influencer's simple coffee order went viral just by her sharing her recipe in her video.
Just rundown of what I use. So I use the Nescafe medium roast instant coffee, and I really just eyeball it. I use about 2 tablespoons probably. I mix that with a little hot water to dissolve it. I add a little caramel for sweetener, and then I just fill the rest up with milk. It's literally the simplest coffee ever.
Besties, we're trying the Kylie Pitts coffee because my coffee ain't cutting it today.
What's disingenuous is posting about a lifestyle that you don't live while saying it's your reality, or encouraging people to have a lifestyle that you yourself are not fully a part of. A real trad wife wouldn't be online devoting her time to a job, strangers on the internet, or making money off of affiliate codes. And that's what these trad and trad wife adjacent influencers post. They have their hair done, they wear cute loungewear, all while they clean and do daily tasks, productive vlogs that are often compiled over several days, and packing ASMR lunchboxes at 3 a.m. They sell you the idea of you could have a perfectly organized pantry, go for Target runs, bake, spend quality time with your children, and avoid the stresses of a job. But there's a huge part of the story that's missing. They earn an income, and their domestic tasks such as cooking and cleaning is not something that they have to do anymore. They now have brand deals and sponsorships, and if they are really successful, they don't have to financially depend on their husband's income anymore, and in other cases, they even out-earn him.
Here are the sourdough kits, one of our best-selling items. So it comes with, hold on, let me take this out. So it comes with the 2 wicker protein baskets, and then the bench scraper, the sourdough starter, got your instructions, and then also a step-by-step how to make your first loaf of bread.
This is the opposite of what they post online or what they encourage others to do. It's a performance and a facade, and I want to use the movie The Help as a case study. The women in the movie were housewives in plain terms, but not in practical terms. Yes, they wore the pretty dresses and they had their makeup done, and in essence, they were at home majority of the time. But they didn't do any actual homemaking. At least not because they have to, but if and when they wanted to. Because the real work and labor is done by the maids, who cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner, vacuum, wash the dishes, do the laundry, and raise the children. So much so that the children of these so-called traditional families and tradwives see their maids and nannies as their real parents and their real families. But back to tradwife influencers, there's also a lot of behind-the-scenes work and effort that goes into creating content. They may have an editor to help post videos faster, or a nanny to help watch their kids while they bake bread from scratch, or other workers who help them run their thriving social media careers. And if they're not famous enough as a huge influencer, they're still gonna dedicate a lot of time to create content and edit. Because if you have a favorite tradwife influencer who posts at least once a day, you should imagine that she's doing a lot of work. The work of making videos, editing them, posting them, and responding to comments. Have you noticed that a lot of tradwife or trad-adjacent influencers are relatively young? They're either recently married or recently pregnant or have very young children. They are at the beginning of their lives in their 20s and 30s and are still figuring things out. In my opinion, these are not who you should be looking to advise you or be a yardstick by which you measure yourself by, or for whom men can measure the women that they're with or want to be with. For example, there's a popular tradwife influencer who provides a lot of information on being a tradwife, but I noticed that she only got married a year ago. So she's teaching people about being tradwives, but she barely has any experience. Would you take advice from someone about something that they've only been in for a year, or would you listen to people who have years of experience or even decades of experience? People are seeing this lifestyle as a fairy tale. There's no interest or concern for what happens next, especially after the narrator says, and they lived happily ever after. Because what I see is, a lot of older tradwives have unintentionally coined a new term, the tradwife to single at 40 pipeline, due to them sharing their experiences.
That tradwife to single mom in your 40s pipeline, yes, that's being exposed. All down my For You page, we got these women that are 40, maybe 50 years old, talking about how they were the perfect tradwife. They baked bread, they cleaned the house, they had unmedicated births, they stayed home and reared the kids, and their man still left them for somebody that was 15 years younger than them.
I've noticed that no one wants to hear from the older tradwife because she might not sing the praises of this lifestyle as a perfect utopia. She may admit that while she loved being a mother and a wife, it was a lot of back-breaking work. It wasn't just frilly dresses and having fun in the sun, especially if her husband is not an upper middle class earner, which means that she will spend most of her days cooking and cleaning after everyone because she's the only one who stays at home. She might also say that there was some sort of infidelity or worse, but either stayed because of religious obligations or because she physically couldn't afford to leave without she and her kids becoming homeless. And if they do leave their husbands or he leaves her for another woman, then she has to work a minimum wage job due to a gap in her work experience while struggling to afford her basic needs. So older trad wives are left out of the conversation because it's not a good look for the movement in general. Not to mention, trad husbands are virtually invisible when it comes to this whole lifestyle and this content. It's mostly women who talk about the good and the bad while also encouraging others to join, but the men don't really speak up. I really struggled to find trad husband content that focused on what the man's role was, how to be a good father, husband, and provider. Because the truth is, the men don't have to put in any effort. They can provide, yes, but they still control the finances, and even if the wife is unhappy, what is she realistically gonna do? Leave? Where? And how? And if there is infidelity and they're religious, he will be forgiven, and if he wants to divorce and marry a younger woman, he will still be supported by the church, for example, while the woman is cast away. A lot of religious doctrine explains the woman's role is to submit and serve. And forgive me, but I don't know anywhere where someone who is meant to be seen and not heard will be supported over the person who is a God-given leader and the head of the family. There's no requirement for husband material. It even sounds foreign to say husband material because that's how little it's spoken about. Even in trad wife influencer content, the husband is so insignificant that you barely see him in videos, showing how little he is a part of family life, which is primarily made up of the trad wife and the children. Your favorite trad wife influencer can leave her abusive husband or a marriage that she doesn't want to be in at any time, but you can't because you're still financially dependent on your husband while she makes 6 figures. She's selling you snake oil, but she doesn't even use snake oil for herself. A very good and recent example is Lauren Southern.
This is Lauren Southern, who you may remember as a far-right activist and media personality back around 2017, 2018. Southern Poverty Law Center said that she tiptoes to the precipice of outright white nationalism. And then in 2019, Southern decided to effectively retire from that media and activist life, getting married, having some kids, and moving to Australia to become a trad wife. The big news this week, though, is that Southern has left Australia, her husband has left her, and she has left the toxic trad life, which she describes in this interview as unheard as a living hell. One characterized by abuse that has led her to living hand-to-mouth in a cabin in the woods back in Canada. She characterizes the binary complementary sex roles in trad life as rigid and wildly oversimplified, and thus woefully ill-equipped for real life. And she comes down particularly hard on her ex here, noting that he seemed to be much more interested in her when she was the world-traveling boss babe that he was trying to rein in, and he was much less interested when he caught her. But she also doesn't think that he is unique here, adding that the sort of men drawn to trad life seem less interested in the life than they are in the power that it affords them over women. And if there's one line that you're likely to see quoted in every story about Southern that's written for the next few years, she adds that trad life was the closest thing to a modern-day Western slave.
I will always support women being entrepreneurs and finding success and a source of income on the internet. But that means that they have to do their best to earn clicks, views, and attract sponsorships. So if they have to, they will curate lifestyle content that is in no way a reflection of their own lives, or make bold statements that don't reflect their views just to go viral. So in your mind, you think you found someone who is like you, but they're just trying to get pushed by the algorithm. I honestly understand the need for community and why women would want to trust and believe in this content or certain content creators being authentic, because homemaking and raising children is realistic and something easy to relate to. But it's important that you as a viewer remember that there's a whole quote-unquote behind-the-scenes production to make this content. It's simply business. And these creators are exploiting your trust by underplaying what the reality really is. They know that you want to stop working and want nothing more than to raise and have a family or have a life of leisure.
I remember when Jake and I got married about 2 years ago, I did not have a deep desire for homemaking. If anything, I dreaded the chores. I dreaded the dishes, I dreaded the laundry, I dreaded having to vacuum the house and clean the toilet, and I think the hardest part for me was that I knew that I would have to do it all again the next day. So I started praying about this, and I asked the Lord to change my view on homemaking. I asked him to change my attitude towards stewarding my home, and he did. He gave me a new perspective on it. I asked him to help these little things to bring me joy, and now they do, even though it's still hard work, and sometimes I really don't enjoy, well, most of the time, I really don't enjoy cleaning the toilet. There's so much joy in stewarding your home well, and I'm just so thankful for a place that I can call home.
So being the smart entrepreneurs that they are, they're able to capitalize on that by selling you an idealized version of the trad wife and trad adjacent lifestyle. Remember, all that glitters is not gold. It's just silver painted to look gold so that they can sell you some fake gold. And with that being said, this does bring me to the end of my video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Like this video, it really helps with the algorithm. My new goal is to get to 500 subscribers, and I really want to say thank you for getting me to 400 subscribers. And if you like some of my old videos, this video, and some more videos in the future, kindly consider subscribing. Again, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you in my next video.